Welcome to another episode of Humans Are Whack. Today, we dive into stories that prove that even places designed for luxury, relaxation, and escape can turn deadly without warning. Floating cities, endless oceans, nights filled with music and alcohol. Cruise ships are sold as paradise on water, but when things go wrong out there, help is far away, answers are limited, and survival becomes almost impossible. On our first story for today is a story about a man named George Smith IV. George was a 26-year-old newlywed from the United States, celebrating his honeymoon aboard a luxury cruise ship sailing through the Mediterranean in 2005. It was supposed to be the start of forever: champagne, laughter, ocean air, and late nights under the stars. That night, George was seen drinking and socializing with other passengers near the upper decks. Security footage showed him smiling, leaning on the railing, alive and happy. And then he vanished. No alarms were triggered. No splash was heard. No one could agree on what they saw. When George failed to return to his cabin, crew members searched the ship room by room. By the time the truth became clear, the ship had already moved miles forward, leaving behind nothing but black water and unanswered questions. Investigators later concluded that George went overboard while the ship was moving at full speed. Falling from a cruise ship isn't like falling into a pool. The height alone can knock the breath out of your body. The impact can break bones instantly. And once the ship passes, the engines, darkness, and currents make rescue nearly impossible. George's body was never found. What makes this story so disturbing is how fast celebration turned into disappearance, and how someone can vanish from a floating city without a single clear explanation. One moment, he was a groom on his honeymoon. The next, he was gone, lost to the open sea. On our second story for today is a story about a woman named Rebecca Coriam, the crew member who vanished without a trace. Rebecca Coriam was a 24-year-old youth activities coordinator working aboard the Disney Wonder cruise ship. Young, trusted, experienced, she had worked multiple contracts at sea and was known by co-workers as cheerful, responsible, and deeply loved. In March 2011, while the ship was sailing off the coast of Mexico, Rebecca failed to show up for her morning shift. That alone was unusual. Crew members searched her cabin first. Her personal belongings were still there. Her shoes, her phone, her jacket. Then security footage surfaced. The video showed Rebecca early that morning, pacing alone on an upper deck. She appeared distressed, talking on a phone, rubbing her head, leaning against the railing. At one point, she turned away from the camera, and that was the last confirmed sighting of her ever. No struggle was caught on camera. No alarms sounded. No witnesses came forward. When the ship realized someone was missing, it was already far from the last known location. Search efforts were delayed. Hours passed. The ocean doesn't wait. An internal investigation later suggested Rebecca went overboard, possibly accidentally, possibly intentionally. But her family strongly disputed that conclusion. There were blind spots in the camera coverage. There were unanswered questions about the phone call she was on. And there were inconsistencies in how quickly the ship responded. Despite extensive searches, Rebecca's body was never recovered. What makes this case so unsettling isn't just that she disappeared. It is that she vanished from a ship filled with thousands of people, cameras, and strict procedures, and still, no one can say with certainty what happened. A floating workplace, a closed environment, and a young woman who simply ceased to exist. Out at sea, even answers can disappear. On our third story for today is a story about a man named Karl Gilis, the passenger who slipped into silence. Karl Gilis was a 73-year-old retired banker from Canada, traveling aboard a Royal Caribbean cruise ship in 2019. He wasn't partying. He wasn't reckless. He was simply enjoying what many retirees dream of, a calm voyage across open water. One evening, Karl went out for a walk on deck. It was late. The air was cool, The ocean stretched endlessly in every direction. Security footage later showed him standing alone near the railing. He leaned forward slightly, not climbing, not fooling around, just resting his arms as people often do. Then, in a split second, his balance shifted. There was no scream, no warning, just a sudden disappearance from the frame. Karl went overboard while the ship continued moving forward at full speed. By the time anyone realized he was missing, the ship was already miles away. Search and rescue teams were deployed, but the odds were brutally low. Falling from that height can knock the air out of your lungs instantly. Cold shock sets in within seconds. And in open water, even a strong swimmer becomes invisible almost immediately. Karl's body was found days later. What makes this story chilling is how ordinary it was. No chaos, no alcohol-fueled mistake, no dramatic buildup, just one quiet moment and one misstep. Cruise ships feel stable, like buildings that move, but they're still surrounded by one of the most hostile environments on Earth. And the ocean doesn't care how careful you were 5 seconds ago. On our fourth story for today is a story about a man named Arthur Thompson, the thrill seeker who underestimated the edge. Arthur Thompson was a 45-year-old thrill seeker from England, aboard a Mediterranean cruise with his family in the summer of 2017. Known for his love of adventure, Arthur often pushed boundaries, whether hiking cliffs or trying daring activities on land. One evening, while the ship was anchored near a small port, Arthur decided to get a better view of the sunset. He climbed onto a railing at the very edge of the deck, far above the water, snapping photos and showing off for nearby passengers. The wind was stronger than he expected. A wave of spray hit the deck. His foot slipped. Passengers screamed as Arthur lost his balance. In an instant, he tumbled over the railing. The drop into the ocean was fatal. The impact alone caused severe trauma. Even before he hit the water, there was no chance of survival from that height. Despite immediate search efforts, including rescue boats and divers, Arthur's body was recovered hours later, a reminder that sometimes risk can be instantaneous, even on a ship built for safety and leisure. What makes Arthur's story so terrifying is how quickly fun and awe turned into tragedy. A single misstep, a moment of bravado, and paradise became a grave. On our fifth story for today is a story about a woman named Rebecca Zenny, the passenger who never returned from the pool deck. Rebecca Zenny was a 32-year-old mother from Italy, enjoying a family cruise in the Caribbean in 2016. The ship was bustling with activity, laughter, splashing water, music, and sunbathers everywhere. Rebecca had been relaxing on the pool deck, keeping an eye on her children while soaking up the sun. Around mid-afternoon, she decided to cool off and slipped into the pool. Minutes later, lifeguards noticed she hadn't resurfaced. Immediate efforts were made. Alarms sounded, crew members jumped in, divers were deployed. But Rebecca never regained consciousness. She had suffered a sudden and severe underwater accident, likely a combination of a medical episode and drowning, though the exact details remained unclear. Despite her family's desperate attempts and the crew's rapid response, she was pronounced dead before reaching the onboard medical center. Rebecca's story is a harsh reminder that even the most controlled, seemingly safe areas of a cruise ship, a swimming pool, can quickly turn deadly. A simple swim, a lapse in vigilance, or an unexpected medical issue can instantly end a life. On a floating city, safety is relative, and tragedy can strike in the most ordinary moments. On our sixth story for today is a story about a man named Liam Johnson, the passenger who underestimated the balcony. Liam Johnson was a 29-year-old traveler from Australia, enjoying a solo cruise through the South Pacific in 2018. Excited by the freedom of the open ocean, Liam often spent his evenings on his cabin balcony, watching the waves and feeling the wind against his face. One night, after a few drinks, he decided to lean over the railing for a better view of the stars. The balcony railing, designed to provide safety, could only do so much when combined with alcohol and misjudged balance. In an instant, Liam slipped. He fell over the edge, plummeting several stories into the water below. The crew was alerted immediately, and search efforts began, but the chances were slim. By the time help arrived, the currents had swept him far from the ship. What makes Liam's story so frightening is its relatability. Many passengers step onto balconies without thinking twice. A small misstep, a moment of distraction, or alcohol, all it takes is a second. And suddenly, paradise becomes a perilous trap. On our seventh story for today is a story about a woman named Rebecca Coriam, the crew member whose disappearance shocked the world. Rebecca Coriam was a 24-year-old youth activities coordinator aboard the Disney Wonder cruise ship in 2011. Known for her bright personality and dedication to the passengers, she was well-liked by both colleagues and guests. One evening, she was last seen on a security camera walking alone across the upper deck. She appeared distressed, speaking on the phone, and occasionally pausing to lean against the railing. Then, she vanished. No alarms were triggered. No witnesses could provide a clear account. The crew launched an immediate search, but the open sea had already swallowed all evidence. Despite investigations, interviews, and internal inquiries, Rebecca's body was never recovered, leaving one of the most haunting mysteries in cruise ship history. Her story serves as a terrifying reminder that even in a controlled environment like a ship, disappearances can happen in seconds, and sometimes, answers never come. On our eighth story for today is a story about a man named George Allen, the passenger lost in a balcony accident. George Allen was a 54-year-old businessman from the UK, enjoying a Mediterranean cruise with his family in 2016. He loved spending evenings on his cabin balcony, sipping wine and watching the sunset over the endless ocean. One night, after stepping out to take a closer look at the horizon, George leaned too far over the railing. The combination of fatigue, alcohol, and a momentary lapse in balance proved fatal. He fell several stories into the dark water below. Rescue efforts were immediate, but the ocean's currents moved faster than the crew could react. George's body was never recovered. What makes this story so chilling is how mundane the setup was. A safe balcony, a quiet evening, a routine action, and yet, in seconds, it became a deadly situation. Cruise ships feel secure, but at sea, even ordinary actions carry hidden risks. On our ninth story for today is a story about a man named Brian Lowe, the passenger who fell victim to a deck accident. Brian Lowe was a 38-year-old traveler from Canada aboard a Caribbean cruise in 2015. Known for his adventurous spirit, he often explored every corner of the ship, from the upper decks to hidden observation points. One evening, while taking photos of the sunset near the ship's edge, Brian tripped on a wet patch of the deck. He lost his balance and tumbled over the railing, plunging several stories into the ocean below. The crew immediately launched search and rescue operations, but strong currents and the vastness of the sea made it nearly impossible to recover him in time. Brian's body was never found. This story is a stark reminder that even experienced travelers can underestimate the dangers of a moving ship at sea. A single misstep on a wet surface can turn paradise into a deadly trap in seconds. On our 10th story for today is a story about sudden medical emergencies at sea, the invisible danger that strikes without warning. Cruise ships are filled with thousands of passengers of all ages, enjoying entertainment, dining, and excursions. But beneath the laughter and luxury, the ocean is indifferent to human fragility. Over the years, numerous passengers have suffered sudden cardiac events, strokes, or severe medical episodes while on board. Some collapsed on deck during morning walks. Others were found unresponsive in cabins or pools. Even with state-of-the-art medical facilities on board, the time it takes to respond and transfer someone to a hospital on land can mean the difference between life and death. These incidents are frightening because they strike anyone, anywhere, without warning. A healthy person can be fine one moment and fighting for their life the next, far from immediate help. Cruise ships are designed for safety, fun, and escape. But these stories prove a harsh truth. At sea, the unexpected can be fatal, and no luxury can fully shield you from nature or the limits of the human body. In the end, these stories remind us that danger can strike anywhere, even in places meant for relaxation and escape. Cruise ships may feel safe, but the ocean doesn't care about precautions, routines, or experience. Every story here is a warning. Stay aware, stay cautious, and respect the power of the sea. Now, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from, and what time is it over there? Drop it in the comments. It's amazing to see how far our community reaches. And don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who loves true crime and shocking real-life stories. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you never miss another jaw-dropping story like this. The ocean is full of mysteries, but together, we can stay alert and informed.